What's going on, YouTube? Today they lied to us about Luka Doncic. The last Luka Doncic reaction will be at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. We're in the road to 5,000 subscribers. Tell me which one we react to next. Turn on post notifications, man. Without further introduction, links in the description, man. Let's get into it.
A pro basketball player from a league first division club where NBA player Goran Dragic began his pro career. Luka, 5 years old when he first met Dragic, always had a basketball in his hands and put up shots anytime a basket was open. Occasionally, he entertained the crowd with halftime dribbling at midcourt. More than a decade after meeting Luka, Goran had this to say about him. But the one thing I could say is as a young kid, he already had a passion for basketball. Luka Doncic soon grew out of ball boy responsibilities and halftime entertainment. It didn't surprise Dragic when he later heard that the Euroleague powerhouse Real Madrid recruited Luka to join its academy at the age of 13. He was dominating the junior levels and making headlines in their native Slovenia. Goran said that everybody was talking about him and that he figured he was something special. Dragic had no doubt after sharing backcourt with Luka during the 2017 Eurobasket tournament where they led Slovenia to the nation's first title. Dragic earned tournament MVP, but he was certain that Luka was destined for stardom after the then 18-year-old stood out against NBA players.
What do you think for this one, Wonder Boy?
Wonder Boy. He's gonna be the best player in Europe in a couple of years. Trust me on that.
Europe?
In Europe.
Or maybe in the NBA. Luka.
In NBA too. In NBA too.
Come in our party. Join us, please. Join us, please. Congratulations. Are you okay? He goes.
Mark my words. He's gonna be one of the best in the whole world.
Even Josh Richardson back in 2016 was getting in on the start of the hype train. As when J. Rich returned to Miami after training on the West Coast, he couldn't wait to talk about one of his workout partners. He said, "Yo, I just met this kid. He's going to be the first pick in the draft." It was the summer of 2016 and J. Rich, who is entering his rookie season with the Miami Heat, was weight training in California. But J. Rich had never heard of the young Slovenian who was in the same weight room one morning. Luka, fresh off his first full season with Real Madrid, and his agent, Bill Duffy, who also represents Richardson, suggested that both players train at the facility. They played pickup afterwards with other pro talent, and Luka was killing it, hitting some step back jumpers, flicking some pretty passes, and setting the pace in a game that included some established pros. J. Rich was impressed. He even said recently that he still thinks that he should have been the first pick. But this is where the stardom didn't just extend to pros. This is where the world was getting to know the name Luka Doncic. The hype was growing every single day, and in 2018, at only 18 years old, he led Real Madrid all the way to the Euroleague and completely took over in the Final Four.
Doncic contra Datome, abre para Carroll que apunta, dispara y la tiene Luka, con ganas siempre de echar el balón hacia adelante. Se frena Luka Doncic, el lanzamiento de Colo a John, se la da Luka Doncic. Luka se queda solo, vuela el triple larguísimo. Tiene que ajustar, ahí está Luka, se para, vuela el triple.
They won the tournament, with Luka becoming the youngest MVP in Euroleague history. He finished the tournament averaging 16 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds. But still, even with all the achievements, there was still so much doubt, at least only in the US, since in Spain and Europe, the buzz around Luka was at the same hype level as Zion was back in North America. It's crazy to think, the basketball Euroleague has to offer is definitely the second best in the world, much harder than the NCAA and any other league other than the NBA. Luka won MVP in that at only 18 years old. It's crazy to think that anybody could doubt him. But it was time for the 2018 NBA draft, and one person was lobbying hard for Luka. That was Donnie Nelson, the general manager at the time for the Dallas Mavericks. He was the first to spot Dirk Nowitzki's talent, and he tried hard to get Dallas to draft Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2014. But in 2018, he convinced Mark Cuban that Luka Doncic was the guy to target. The Mavericks tanked the 2017-2018 NBA season, all to target Luka. Mark Cuban was even fined $600,000 for public comments he made. He told his team that losing is the best option.
Try to communicate, like, probably not supposed to say this, but like, I just had dinner with a bunch of our guys the other night. I was like, look, losing is our best option. You know, Adam would hate hearing that. And I explained what our plans were going to be this summer, that we're not going to tank again. This is like a year and a half of tanking, and that was too brutal for me.
As the season finished, the Mavericks had the third best odds to win the lottery, but ended up with the 5th pick. Donnie Nelson was pretty upset. But Luka was never considered the consensus best player in the draft that saw DeAndre Ayton go number 1 to the Phoenix Suns and Marvin Bagley go number 2 to the Sacramento Kings. Some questioned whether Luka had maxed out, wondering if a player who was so polished could improve. Donnie Nelson had said, "I was glad every time he lost a foot race or didn't look very athletic. To be honest with you, I was cheering for him to screw up in the European Championships days before the draft." And he wanted that all because he wanted Luka to drop in the draft. But as the draft day came, DeAndre Ayton went number 1, Marvin Bagley number 2. Dallas called up Atlanta and they were set on drafting Trae Young at number 3. So not wanting Luka to go to Memphis at number 4, they made the trade to give them their 5th pick, plus their 2019 first round pick, which was top 5 protected, all to get them to draft Luka Doncic at number 3.
2018 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic from Ljubljana, Slovenia and Real Madrid.
Plenty of people around the NBA doubted whether Luka, who had grown to a shade taller than 6'7" and more than 230 pounds, could play point guard in the NBA. One talent evaluator for a team picking a little later in that lottery compared him to Hedo Turkoglu, a skilled forward with playmaking ability, a good player definitely, but far from a superstar. Mavs coach Rick Carlisle admits that even he considered Luka's NBA position to be unclear. He knew Luka had the vision to be a primary ball handler, but he wasn't sure a player that size and with that kind of athleticism could play point guard against the world's premier athletes. Rick Carlisle said, "There's just a perception that players that are big and strong just aren't going to be able to do it because of how could they possibly be quick enough." But one of the things that you find out about Luka when you see him day to day is that he's not only strong, but he's quick and powerful and fast, and deceptively so in all of those areas. It took about a day or two of watching Luka play pickup ball at the Mavs practice facility in the fall before his rookie season for Carlisle to be convinced. He was playing the point and he was seeing everything. He was making amazing passes look so simple. He was impacting every part of the game. He was getting a lot of rebounds. He was finding people on time, on target. It was clear that he could play point guard. Let's put it that way. There was one problem in all of this. That position was already manned by Dennis Smith Jr., the previous year's lottery pick, and an all-rookie selection the Mavs had proclaimed to be a foundation piece. So Luka began his NBA career officially listed as a forward and sharing facilitating duties with Dennis Smith, although Dennis got a larger share of playmaking assignments because he struggled playing off the ball. But Luka made his first start at point guard 6 weeks into the season when Dennis missed a game due to injury and Luka recorded 15 points and 8 assists in that game in a win over the Boston Celtics. He then averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists during an 11-game stretch in December when an injury sidelined Smith for all but one game. The Mavs soon came to the conclusion that they needed to move on from Dennis Smith to maximize Luka's potential. Dennis ended up being part of the package Dallas sent to the New York Knicks in the Kristaps Porzingis trade. And this is where things really started to open up for Luka, and he ran away with 2019 Rookie of the Year honors. But in the next season, he made such a leap that he was the most improved player finalist, averaging 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. The only players to stuff box scores with stats that matched or exceeded Luka's in those categories over the course of his season was Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook during his MVP season. Luka was even more productive during the playoffs, where he averaged 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. And they pushed the Clippers to 6 games despite losing Porzingis to a knee injury midway through the series. And now, that stat line is the standard for Luka. He's still only 23 years old. The Mavericks made a bunch of changes. They don't have Porzingis anymore, and it's really let Luka come into the light of the MVP type player he can be. The Mavs have been on a roll recently, and it's all thanks to the magic Luka has been doing.
Of any team in the NBA this year at 6. And if they finish this off at 7. Luka. Here is Luka giving the ball up to Hardaway.
Nothing shocks me about this game.
Yo, we react to this, y'all. We reacting to this, y'all. It's gonna be at the end of the video.
Teams, they're combined 0 for 8 from the floor in OT. There's the must-make field goal of overtime to give Luka 58 points, and the Mavericks have fight.
Coming into today, Luka is the NBA's leading scorer, averaging 34 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds a game. And over his last 5 games, Luka is averaging 46 freaking points. It's crazy to think he's not that overly athletic. He's just one of the most skilled basketball players ever. But with these kind of numbers, it creates a sense of urgency not typical for a team building around a young superstar. We may just see Luka's first MVP season this season. And if the Mavs continue this level of play and winning, that will certainly be the case. Any lingering doubts since his arrival as the most accomplished European team in NBA history have been replaced by a sense of anticipation only a handful of players can command, and it happened much faster than many predicted. Rick Carlisle said this: "I played with Bird. For 3 years straight I watched, and that was a feeling when you watched him every single night. Magic Johnson was the same kind of player. LeBron James is the same kind of player too. These guys can do anything on the basketball court. And it's the same for Luka Magic as well." Hey, did you want to see the stupidest things NBA players have ever said? Well,
no, we do not. We want to see Luka go crazy with that 60-point triple-double. It's on your screen right now. This is good for your health, my brothers and sisters. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Tell me which one we react to next. Turn on post notifications, man. All links in the description. I appreciate all the super thanks, super chats, man. Y'all doing y'all thing. And I'm out here, man. We're going to keep working hard. Hard work pays off. Stay in your grind. Don't be a lime. I don't know. I can't rhyme. Ooh. Chill.